Would your man peel an orange for you? Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. I want to talk briefly, and I'm hoping this is going to be a quick video, talking about the orange peel theory. If you're not familiar with the orange peel theory, this is a trend primarily on TikTok. I don't know if it's actually made it to like other social media platforms. I've only seen it on TikTok, where basically a woman tests her husband or boyfriend by telling him that she would like an orange but she doesn't want to peel it, and then seeing if he will actually peel the orange for her. This trend is actually, I mean, it's oddly gotten really popular, and I've also seen some pushback on it in some very odd ways. So I want to dive into this a little bit. The basis of the orange peel theory is actually rooted in the love language of acts of service. I have a video actually talking about the love language of physical touch and some of the misconceptions about that love language. Now, I'm not somebody who believes the hype around the love languages 100%. I actually think some of the hype around it is actually overinflated. I don't necessarily think it's a terrible idea. I think there's merit to it, but I don't necessarily think that it's quite as black and white as people make it seem to be. And I talked about this actually in my video about love languages and physical touch, that so many people that talk about love languages and act like they know everything about the love languages have not even actually read the book about love languages, because there's a lot of misconceptions that I see and like misunderstandings about the love languages that I'm like, if somebody just read the book, which is a very short, easy read, it would clear up a lot of the misconceptions that people have about love languages. And again, I don't love the idea, because I do think that like all of the different love languages, so to speak, can be really good for people. And I don't necessarily think that people only receive love in one way. I think people receive love and they show love in all kinds of different ways. So I'm not necessarily like a completely dedicated love language person. However, if we're talking about a polarized relationship of masculine and feminine dynamics, the masculine is designed to serve. And since most men are masculine at their core and most women are feminine at their core, at the root of our energetics, if you want to have a sexually polarized relationship, you need one partner to be in the masculine and one partner to be in the feminine. The masculine is designed to protect and provide, which if you think about it is, what is another word for provide? It's serve. I've said this in other videos. I know this gets some pushback because I know this is kind of controversial, but if you think about the most masculine careers that we have in our society, think about police, military, what do? They vow to protect and serve. The masculine is about protecting and serving. Acts of service is actually the way that the masculine would show love more than the feminine. Now, that does not mean that women don't show love through acts of service, or that that's the only way that men show love is through acts of service. That's absolutely not the case. However, if you have a masculine man doing things, because the masculine is doing, the feminine is being, the masculine is doing things for his partner, is going to be a very masculine mindset. It's going to be the way that a masculine man is going to be most likely to express love. So asking a man to do something for you and him doing it for you is going to be the way that most masculine men are going to express love. Now, I have a whole video talking about feminine testing, and I actually have some film scenes that I use to give examples of feminine testing. So I'm not going to dive too much into the dynamics. A woman testing a man's strength is absolutely normal. Women do that like instinctually. It's part of our nature as women to test men. That's why we're often seen as nagging or nitpicking or something. And I'm not saying that women always express that in the healthiest way, because if it's coming from triggers and traumas, it's probably coming out not in the healthiest way. And again, I have a whole video where I talk about that much deeper, so I'm not going to dive into all of the concepts of feminine testing in this video. However, the feminine testing the masculine is absolutely a normal, healthy thing to do, because as a woman you want to feel a man's masculine strength. You want to feel his masculine energy, so you're going to test it. And the masculine thrives in challenge, the feminine thrives in safety. The feminine is going to test the masculine to feel his masculine strength, because when she can feel his masculine strength and she feels it is coming from a healthy place, she feels safer and she's going to be able to relax and open. As much as I know men can find the feminine testing to be frustrating, if as a man, if you want a woman to be relaxed and open, you're going to have to learn to prove your masculine strength to her. That's the way it works. That's basic polarity right there. So the concept of like testing your man by asking him to do something for you and seeing if he's willing to do it. If he's willing to do something for you, doing is masculine, and he's willing to provide for you, which would be providing assistance by actually doing something. It's very similar to asking a man to like open up a jar of pickles or something for you, which is kind of like it's like a tale as old as time of like, as a woman, if she knows she can open a jar, she might still ask her man to open a jar so he can feel strong and he can feel powerful. I'm not necessarily saying that you have to do that or whatever, and I think if a man is literally just judging himself based on how well he can open a jar of pickles, I don't necessarily know if that's the best test of strength, in the same way that peeling an orange isn't really the best test of strength. But in reality, it's like, hey, I want him to show me that he can do things for me, that he can be strong. And, you know, I remember reading in this book, it was something like, you know, just because a woman can, you know, uncork a bottle of wine doesn't necessarily mean that she should. Let a man do it and let him show you that he's strong enough to do something for you. Letting a man do something for you to show that he's willing to provide for you and that he's, you know, strong and can do something for you is like a tale as old as time. This is an old-fashioned idea. The orange peel thing is more of like a modern spin on it, but like it's really a very old-fashioned idea. With this trend being so popular online, there has been some criticism. Now, I will say, for starters, I am shocked at how many men do not actually pass this test. I shouldn't be shocked, but I am shocked. that so many men like just either don't get it. And I understand to a certain extent, if you were a woman who is not used to asking your man for stuff, if you're used to being that woman who's like, I can do everything myself, I can do it myself, and you do ask a man for something, he might be thrown because he's not used to that, right? But I am actually shocked at how many men are not willing to do that. There are a lot of men who are willing to do that. I will say though that I don't love doing this test because I don't love the testing from a non-genuine place. Like, feminine testing really should come from like a more authentic place. And if you're not actually interested in eating an orange and you just want to see if a man will peel an orange for you, there's an inauthenticity to it that I don't love. However, I don't really think that it's like that harmful a thing. I don't want to see women get into the habit of constantly testing a man from their head. And you're not testing him from your body. You're not testing him from like what you truly desire. Now, if what you truly desire in that moment is for an orange and you'd like him to peel an orange for you, go for it. But if you're just doing it to just like see if he'll do it and you're doing it from your head and not your body, it feels inauthentic. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's a habit that I don't want to see women get into because I don't want women to start testing men from their head, and I want to see women really sink into feeling into their bodies. I have other videos diving into that. If you're new to my content and that doesn't make sense to you, I have other videos diving into that deeper. The thing is, I've seen a lot of pushback to the orange peel theory test, and I wanted to address some of the popular complaints about this. Now, again, like I said, I do believe it comes from a bit of inauthenticity, so I have some issues with it, but I don't necessarily think that it's the worst thing in the world. I just don't want to see women get in the habit of feeling like they have to test men from an inauthentic place. One of the criticisms I will see that was actually from a man, which I actually do agree with, there was a man that said that, you know, he's not opposed to the test. Like, you know, for example, if his wife came to him and said, hey, I'd like an orange, would you peel it for me? He would absolutely do that. But if he found out afterwards that she was doing that as like a test for social media, and he found out that she had posted about it on social media, he would be really offended. And it would be a problem for him. And I have to admit, I have to agree with him. I do think that, I mean, I know this is common now, but I don't really think that we should be posting people on social media without their consent. I don't think that we should just be like posting our spouse and showing what they do or what they don't do without talking it over with them. Now, if you do this and you ask your man to do this and, you know, you want to talk about it and maybe not show his face, or if you know, maybe you filmed it and then you tell him that you want it and you two are both like, okay, yeah, maybe he passed the test and he wants everybody to know he passed the test or something, like, that's fine. I have to agree, I don't love the idea of posting your partner or even past partners or anything like that on social media without their consent. I talked about this a lot more in my like video about, you know, women filming men at the gym, checking them out and things like that. There's just a lot of reasons why people may just it may be a bad idea to post someone's face on social media. There's some people who don't want to be on social media for security reasons, although I imagine if you're married, you would know whether or not your husband's face should be on social media for safety reasons. But again, I don't love the idea, and I know this has gotten more and more trendy and more common, and maybe this is just like the old-fashioned person in me, but I just don't think we should be posting people on social media, positive or negative, without their consent. You know, if you are posting your husband or boyfriend or something with this concept, I would be respectful. And I'd say the same thing to husbands, like, don't post stuff about your wife or images of your wife or something like that on social media without her consent. Like, I think many couples need better boundaries around this. So again, I get it, like, you know, the test itself may not be the biggest issue, but posting about it is more controversial. So again, you are going to do this test, or, you know, there needs to be better communication about social media boundaries when it comes to relationships. So that I actually 100% agree with this guy. I think that's an important note to be mindful of. If you're going to test him, fine, but like whether or not you share it on social media should be something that you both agree upon. I've also seen some guys criticizing women for asking men to do this and like oh, so he's just supposed to stop whatever he's doing, and he's just supposed to like stop, you know, his day and just peel you an orange. Well, look, if you as a woman are like, your man's at work and you're home or something, and you call him up and you're like, I need an orange, can you peel an orange for me? And he's like in the middle of work, even if he's home but he's in the middle of work, or he's, I don't know, rebuilding a carburetor, or he's, you know, cleaning out the garage, or, you know, or something or whatever, and you just want him to drop everything he's doing and just peel you an orange, like, you absolutely should have a partner that's willing to drop everything for you if it's an emergency. I haven't seen this happen. Like, I haven't seen videos of women who are asking men to do this while the men are like in the middle of a big project or something. I agree, like, you shouldn't be interrupting somebody when they're doing something really important for something that's just like a little like test of acts of service. That said, that's not what I've seen. Most of the time, it's usually when like the guy is, you know, either not really doing much of anything, or the two of them are just sort of sitting there, or he's just doing something mindless or something like that. Like, I haven't seen women posting videos of this orange peel theory test and men were in the middle of doing something important, but I would note that generally speaking, when it comes to these kind of tests and stuff, ladies, don't do it if your man is like in the middle of something important or in the middle of something complicated. Obviously, if you actually need his help in that moment, like it's an emergency and you really need him, we should always expect our partner to drop everything for us in an emergency. That's part of being in a relationship. However, to just choose to do a test and like testing a man when he's in the middle of something that's actually important, it's not a good thing. Like, you want to pick your moments and you want to pick your times. And if it's something like, I just want my orange peeled, you know, wait until he's, you know, like not in the middle of something important or in the middle of a project or something he's really focused on, generally speaking. Not that I've seen a lot of women do that. And again, there's been a lot of guys who are like, oh, so he's just supposed to drop everything for you. And that hasn't been the pattern that I've seen, but I do think that that's worth noting. Ladies, don't try this out if a man is like in the middle of something important. Now, of course, there's always going to be some of the pick-me girls that are going to jump into this discussion, and I have a video talking about pick-me girls and pick-me influencers if you want to check that video out. You're gonna get the women that have pushback, and I saw this video, I think, that got really popular, of this woman who was just emphatically against the orange peel theory. And again, if you don't want to do the orange peel theory and you don't want to test your man that way, by all means, that's fine. You don't have to. Like, this is not like a rule or something that everybody should do. But this woman just like went off about how manipulative this was. Like, well, really, it's just, is he willing to do something for you to help you out, or is he not? That's something you want to know, because if a man's not willing to do something small for you, what are the chances that he's going to be willing to be there for you when something big happens, right? Like, that's just a basic relationship thing. I mean, you want to gather information about like how is this man going to show up for me? So as much as, again, I don't like the inauthenticity of this, testing a man to find out if he's going to be there for you is actually not it's not new. It's absolutely not. There's evidence that, you know, in ancient times, when we were all cave people, that cave women would like attack cave men before they would mate with them. So she knew if his genetics were gonna pass on like strong genes so that their children would survive. So asking a man to like peel an orange for you is actually a lot less invasive than that. This idea of like testing a man is nothing new. But you want to know if this guy's going to be willing to do something for you that's a little thing, because, you know, if he won't do the little things for you, what are the chances he's going to do a big thing for you? And one of the arguments that this woman had was that you know, women were judging men based on how they responded and expecting men to read their minds, to know what the outcome was supposed to be. I have a masterclass about feminine communication and some of the mistakes that women make in communicating. So I absolutely do agree that in many cases there are women who are expecting their partner to read their minds, because as women we don't always communicate with men as directly as men will need us to communicate. So there is a very common communication issue in relationships, that women are not actually communicating in a way that men understand, so that men are being expected to read a woman's mind, and that is a common problem. The thing is, with the orange peel theory, that's actually the opposite of what's going on. In this particular situation, a woman is literally making a very direct request and actually asking for something very directly, so that a man does not actually have to read her mind. He knows exactly what it is that she wants, and then he's making the choice whether or not he's going to do it for her. That's the opposite of expecting your partner to read your mind, and that's actually something I like about this test. Again, I don't like that it's not necessarily authentic, and I don't like necessarily like promoting it on social media if your partner's not comfortable with that. This kind of communication of a woman actually saying, I would like this from you, I actually think is actually a positive thing, because it's actually training women to actually just say what it is that they want. Because as we all know, now there are some women who are great at this, and and there are some men who just will not hear a woman no matter how direct she asks him. And I'm not dismissing any of those experiences, but there are a lot of communication issues in relationships that would simply be improved by a woman speaking more directly and a man being more open to listening. There's so many communication issues that could be solved that way. Not all of them, because there are going to be situations where, you know, there's other problems. Part of the orange peel theory is it really is training women to just directly ask for what they want. And so you can't say that a man is being expected to read a woman's mind, because she's literally asking directly for what she wants. He's making the decision whether or not he's going to do something for her or whether he's not. Like, is he going to perform an act of service for her, or if he's not? And honestly, the response to that for a man is not that complicated, because there's not that many options. He's either going to do it or he's not going to do it. Or he might say, like, I can't right now because I'm doing something else or something. Or, you know, I mean, there's only a few different options that he can have in this situation. A lot of the pushback to this test is, some of it is legit, but a lot of it is just kind of people just trying to argue with something that, again, shouldn't be that complicated. And I realize I'm complicating it by making a whole video about this, but I just do think that there's a lot of lessons in this that we can all pick up on, even if you don't want to do the orange peel theory. In fact, I actually just saw a video today just before I filmed this, where this woman was sharing that she had told her husband about the orange peel theory. She didn't do the orange peel theory on him, but she just told him about this trend. And then it was like a little while later, he did something for her, wasn't peeling an orange, but he just did something for her to help her out, and kind of like smiled at her and was like, orange peel theory, like as a joke. And, you know, she just shared this with like, oh, my husband was willing to do something nice for me. And so many people in the comments were like, that's not the orange peel theory. That's not the orange peel theory. And it's like, well, it's not, no. And she didn't say that it was, but she's just sharing like, hey, my husband did something nice for me. That's the basis of this. The basis is a man willing to do an act of service for you in a relationship? That's the test. Now, there are going to be men who are going to be like, what about men testing women? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work in reverse. And there are a lot of men who are trying to test women. When a man tests a woman, she's not going to feel safe. And women thrive in safety. Men thrive in challenge, women thrive in safety. So when men challenge women, they don't feel safe. But you're not going to get a like open, receptive, feminine woman if you're constantly testing a woman. A woman will only feel safe if she feels a man's masculine strength, and the only way she feels that is by challenging him. So this kind of testing is not something that's supposed to go both ways in a relationship. This kind of testing is for the feminine, whoever the feminine partner is in the relationship, which the majority of the time will be the woman. That's the way you get the healthiest relationship. I know I've peeled the orange as much as possible and like dissected this issue as much as possible, but this was a really popular trend, and I just thought that it was something that could be helpful to a lot of people, especially if you're not on TikTok, so you're not actually hearing about this. I'm not telling you to go out and actually do the orange peel theory. Again, I do think that there is a level of inauthenticity unless you actually want an orange and you actually want a man to peel it for you. Like, I really do feel like this stuff needs to come from a genuine place. I have videos talking about feminine testing and diving into it much deeper, so I will link those videos to this one so you can actually check those out. I don't think this is like the best feminine testing, but I don't think it's the worst either. But again, there are some caveats. Don't do it when a man's busy. I would really prefer you be doing this from a more authentic place. You know, I just would advise you not to share it on social media unless it's something that you both have agreed upon out of respect for your partner. But yeah, have you heard of the orange peel theory? Have you done the orange peel theory? Is this something you're thinking about doing? I know this is a lot of attention for the orange, but you know what? We all need our vitamin C. So maybe the orange needed a chance to shine. Yeah, any thoughts on this or any other topics you'd like me to discuss, leave a comment in the comment section below. I love to hear from you and I love your suggestions. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and be sure you subscribe to my channel. If you want to learn more about embodying your dark feminine energy, which will help you with your feminine testing, then be sure to check out my Dark Feminine Energy Guided Journal, available now on Amazon, along with links to my masterclass about feminine communication. Links are in the description box below, along with links to all my social media accounts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.